Hello, I'm Chris Richmond, and today I'm off church crawling in search of mechanical music machines. Now, as some of you know, I'm all for mechanical music. I love a fairground or street organ. But did you know that mechanical organs can also be found in church? Popular in the 18th and 19th centuries, mechanical barrel organs were originally introduced to replace church bands and were said to be cheaper than paying skilled organists to accompany services. And in communities where such organists didn't exist, anybody could operate a barrel organ, as the music was already there and the operator only had to regulate its speed. They were also used as a way to standardise hymns and improve the overall quality of church music. Interestingly, hymn tune names varied across the country. For example, and quite a local name here, the tune name Norwich could refer to one of 7 completely different tunes. Anyhow, I'm diverging. Here in Norfolk, we have 9 surviving barrel organs still in churches across the county, and I'm making this film in an attempt to show you them all. There we are. Wonderful. Right, so we're on our way to our first location, which is in the heart of the Glaven Valley, an area which I grew up in. So it's a delightfully gloomy day. There's something rather atmospheric about a church on a grey day like this. So hopefully these barrel organs shall brighten things up a bit. Our first organ resides in the village of Leatheringset, at the round-towered St Andrew's Church, where I meet Churchwarden John to discover more about it. All right, thank you very much, John, for
nice to meet you, Chris.
Come and look at this wonderful instrument.
Amazing piece.
And this is the first one on my little quest to find all 9 in Norfolk.
Good,
so
good. Quite a task.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
Good. Well, it's got quite a bit of history to it, but it came from Hindringham Church and was built by Messrs Bates and Son of Ludgate Hill, say originally in Hindringham, but it passed into possession of the Lee Warner family and was obtained by the rector after the decease of Emily Warner. She was at the Grove in Holt, about 1950.
Yep.
It was introduced to the church here in 1956. It was put in working order under the assistance of Williamson and Hyatt. They were organ builders in Trunch.
Yes, not very far away.
Right, yeah. And it possesses 6 stops, 30 tunes, and they're arranged in 3 barrels.
Yeah, so we've got 3 barrels with 10 tunes each, basically.
Yes, that's it.
So
yeah.
It's still working.
Still working, and it's nice to have it used when we can, really.
Yeah.
The opportunity.
Yes.
You want to have a look around the valley.
Yes. Right, so what does this organ kind of consist of?
Here we have the barrels, and to set it up with this basically screwed on here, which turns it round, and then this gadget swaps over onto the different slots, which is equivalent to the different pins you've got there. And there's a natural feel to it. Once the barrels come forward, being twisted round, you do feel it sort of slots into place, so you know you're there. And the other important thing to remember, you've got to keep the air going, the bellows up, so you've got enough power, as it were, a bit of oomph to get it going.
So and, you kind of need 2 people to operate it.
You do really, yes. There's no
way you can do it alone, although...
However, there was a pedal there, so I think in distant days then that would have been easier, but it's a bit of a juggling act.
Yeah, so Gwen's going to play this for us, and we shall see how she sounds.
Absolutely, yes, yes.
St Andrews also has a second pipe organ, of the more conventional finger-played type, and this is the organ mainly used to accompany services. Now, onwards to our second location. Now, for our next location, we're heading southwest, a few miles south of the town of Fakenham, to a little village called Tittleshall, home once upon a time to the Cook family who own Holcombe Estate. The church is home to a number of lavish Cook family memorials, including that of famous jurist Sir Edward Cook. It's also home to 2 pipe organs, and the barrel organ I've come to see was installed in the church whilst the main organ suffered terrible water damage back in the 1980s. Trust me to come here when the clock's chiming. How's that for timing? But there's a slight problem. Now, I can show you this organ, but I can't actually play it because it does need a little bit of TLC. This is a barrel and finger organ, which means it can be played both via a keyboard as well as using a barrel. And it's got a bit of a well-travelled history. Built by Joseph William Walker of London, it was originally installed at the rectory in Monkton Farley, all the way over in Wiltshire. It was later sold to someone in Wainfleet in Lincolnshire, then ended up in a Masonic temple in Stamford, before being acquired by a chap called Norman Vince in Bordeswell. And it was him who sold it for use here at Tittleshall, while the main organ was out of use. And now its fate here is uncertain, as it's technically redundant now the main organ is working again. And the reason I can't play it is because the barrel's tracker action needs adjusting. So rather than risk damaging this historic instrument, we can at least admire it visually. Now it's been fitted with an electric blower. The keyboard slides out, and you select your tune by sliding this little lever on the right-hand side, but there's no grooves to lock the spindle in place. And on that note, or not, if you'll excuse the pun, let's move on to our next location. Our third location is even further inland, a parish that was once 2 separate villages. Bradenham was once divided east and west, and this is still evident by the 2 surviving church buildings at either end of the present-day village. Whilst East Bradenham is now a redundant church, sitting above the acres of fruit fields is West Bradenham, the Church of St Andrew. And the technical term for what I'm about to show you is a little amusing. Here at West Bradenham, we have what is known as a dumb organist. That's not an insult, that's a technical term. What we saw at Tittleshall was a finger and barrel organ, but this organ was built purely as a finger organ, and the dumb organist is actually a barrel mechanism that can be fitted onto the organ's keyboard. Unfortunately, the one here no longer fits, as the organ has since been modified, but its claim to fame is that when the church was restored in the 1950s, this organ was recorded by the BBC for a radio programme called East Anglian Highlights, broadcast on Valentine's Day 1958. Certainly worth coming to see. But where is it? That is the question. I start my search by looking behind the organ. Just pipework. Perhaps it's tucked under a pew. The church toilet? Well, I've searched high and low for the dumb organist of West Bradenham. So, after 2 unplayables, perhaps our next location will be a little bit more fruitful. Whilst I knew this would be a challenge, I didn't envisage having to play hide and seek within the church. Whilst I leave the mystery of West Bradenham's dumb organist behind, our next location promises a little more of interest. Now, our next organ is in a tiny village called Woodrising. It is playable, and the churchyard also features something rather unique for Norfolk. Every building tells a story, and the towerless edifice of St Nicholas Woodrising shamelessly bears its wounds following the collapse of the tower in the 18th century, and the rubble has literally laid there since. In the corner of the churchyard, a rather unique thatched structure was built, the bell cage, and the only such one in Norfolk. So here we are, a bell cage. Well, it has to be done, doesn't it? So I'm here inside the bell cage at Wood Rising, and what we have here is a single bell dating from 1861, and it's a Mears bell, so actually not that old. Housing a single bell, it's hardly as impressive as the famous bell cage at East Bergholt, which I visited in Suffolk in 2019, but at least I can tick this Norfolk oddity off my list. Now, let's go and find the barrel organ. The organ sits up in a gallery, located above the west end of the church. Right, so I'm up in the organ loft here at Wood Rising Church, and I've been told this one is in a playable condition. So yeah, it was built in 1832 by Flight and Son, but also happened to be the year that Flight and Robson went bust, and he went into partnership with his son. So we have some interesting storytelling going on these barrels, because it actually says the altered name on the barrels. Now, this organ does come with instructions. It's slightly different from the previous ones we've seen, and we've got these horizontal bars down here. So you lift the action out of the way by pulling that back, and the action lifts up, and then you can actually select your tune using this spindle here. So you lift that up, you can actually shift the barrel along, and you'll see there are these grooves where you can actually select your tune on this particular barrel, and they stay in line perfectly. So we'll just select this one here, and that should lock into place just like that. Wonderful. And the handle operates both the bellows and the action. So shall we play some music? Wonderful. As dusk falls, I call it a day in the first leg of my barrel organ adventure. Well, what a lovely sounding organ. So that's 4 we've done today. I think we'll call it a day there, and we'll try and track down the other 5 tomorrow. Right, let's go home. In the second leg of my quest to track down Norfolk's barrel organs, my first location of the day is again in mid-Norfolk, in a rarely used church near the village of Mattishall. Right, now you can see the heavily decorated spire of Mattishall on the horizon, but we're actually going to the smaller and once separate village of Mattishall Borough. A church that hasn't been used for several years and now kept under lock and key. The modest St. Peter's is home to our next organ, and I've been given permission to go inside and play it. And here we have another J.W. Walker organ, the same builder as the one at Tittleshall, but smaller. This one was originally installed at the Postern Chapel, Aldermanbury in London in May 1852. Just 2 years later it was returned, before then being bought by Reverend Thomas Burney, who was the rector of Hockering, and installed the organ in St Michael's Church there. In 1874 it was decided to lend the organ to Mattishall Borough on the condition that it would be returned when requested in fair repair and decent condition. Over a century later, the loan became permanent when in 1977 Hockering Church agreed to give the organ to Mattishall Borough on the understanding that it would not be sold. Interestingly, it was restored around the same time by Walker, who at that time still had a base in Brandon, just over the border in Suffolk. And here it is, still in situ. Apparently it's not been played for a number of years. Hopefully I'm about to change that right now. Let's have a look at the mechanism. Right, so this is all very interesting because although it's built by the same builder as the one at Tittleshall, it actually has more in common with the one we saw at Leatheringset, the first organ. It has this cassette of 3 barrels which can be selected in turn. So we're going to be really generic and select barrel number 1. We lock the barrel in place with this spindle by dropping it down there, and you should hear a nice satisfying click as you bring the barrel into position, just like that. So we'll clear the action, and we have to make sure that we're at the beginning of the tune. So wind, 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 wind. Right, shall we select a tune? Now to select our tune, we have this lever here, down on the right-hand side, which we can then bring to the desired tune, which for this example we'll play number 2, Luther's Hymn. And then of course there's the air supply, which is actually done on this lever on the left-hand side, which you have to pump and turn simultaneously, which is quite hard work because they don't always synchronize. And you have to be careful not to overfill the bellows, otherwise you get inconsistent wavering and screeching. So it'll be interesting to see how it sounds. Right, here we go. Wonderful. Now, our next few organs are all relatively close together. We're heading to South Norfolk, where 3 instruments survive all within a few miles of each other. First out of the 3 is located in North Lopham, at the Church of St Nicholas, where I meet mechanical music mogul Johnny Ling. Right, thanks very much for coming out here, Johnny.
Thank you, good to see you again, Chris.
You are quite the authority on mechanical music, certainly in this part of the world, because you actually own the Grange Musical Collection.
Yes, so we have a little bit to do with mechanical music. And to me, this is an important organ because my grandma played here for 42 years, and this is what got my interest in mechanical organs all that time ago. So a young lad, 6 or 7, I'd come and see grandma and play the barrel organ with her.
And your collection kind of grew from there?
Yes, I was collecting mechanical music since I was 14, so now 51. I've got a few things at home.
Right, so here in this corner of South Norfolk we have these 3 organs that are quite close together. Is there any reason why that is?
Yeah, it's amazing to have 3 villages all in a row with all with barrel organs. It's quite unique, and also there was one in Diss at one time, which is sadly no longer there. So at one time there was 4 in the local neighbourhood, and I think with W.A. Boggis just up the road, Mr. Boggis was very good at keeping the old barrel organs going over the years.
The organ here was built by J.C. Bishop and is still played regularly by Jenny Vere, who tells me more about this wonderful church. Right, Jenny, nice to meet you.
Welcome to North Lopham.
Yes. I see we've even got some bells here. Tell me about those first.
The bells were rehung and dedicated in April 1926, so we've got great plans to have a rededication service in 2026. It was the same weekend that a certain young lady was born who became Queen Elizabeth II.
Yes.
So they're quite special. There are 8 bells in the ring, according to one of our experts years ago, Nolan Golden, who was a doyen of bell ringers. You'll have heard of him.
Yes, very prolific ringer back in the day.
He loved coming here. They're the best 8 for their weight in South Norfolk.
So obviously bells isn't the real reason why I'm here today. I'm here to look at this wonderful barrel organ. So tell me a little bit about its background and
the background to the barrel organ is quite interesting. It was originally made for Stanhope Hall in North Norfolk, and I suppose it was surplus to requirements in the 1950s, and was bought by Mr. Boggis, our organ tuner who lived in Roydon. And when Mrs. Ivy West, who was grandma to Johnny Ling, she was instrumental in raising the money to buy this, and Mr. Boggis provided it, because before that all the music was provided by a 2-manual German harmonium, which of its own has quite a lot of interest, and it is still playable. It has the most wonderful bass notes. You can really feel it growling in your tummy. So we've got 2 instruments which we're really very fortunate to own, and we do use both of them.
Wonderful. Right, so we're sat at this one, so tell me a little bit more about the setup and what we've got here.
We have a chamber organ with an integral barrel, and there are 10 tunes on the barrel, mostly Victorian hymn tunes, played rather slowly, but the 10th tune is the national anthem, which is played twice, first plain and secondly with a decorated bass, which is rather fine.
Right, let's have a demonstration then.
Johnny, you can come and wind the handle.
Across the chancel is the harmonium, which is definitely worth featuring in my film. Right, so this was actually the original in this church, wasn't it?
This is the first organ that was used here, yes, after the days of the band of fiddlers and what have you. This organ was bought, no idea when, but a friend of mine remembers it being used for her wedding in the 1940s, because the barrel organ was bought after Mr. Cooksley died later on.
Of course, this is quite a rare survivor in a church, because several churches have old reed organs knocking around, but this is actually a true harmonium, isn't it?
It is indeed,
and
made
a dual
by
manual.
Fraser of Stuttgart.
Right, let's have a demonstration. Right, so where are we off to next?
So we're off to Bressingham next, which is famous for its steam museum, but also very famous for its barrel organ in its church.
Featuring in an old BBC documentary by the late poet laureate John Betjeman, our next instrument is just a few miles away in the village of Bressingham at the Church of St John the Baptist. Now, where's Johnny? Aha, so I find you round the back of this organ, hidden up in the north corner of Bressingham Church.
Yes.
So tell me about this one.
So this is a 26 key organ, which we believe is by Flight, and there are 4 barrels with the organ. So yeah, so this one you've got a pedal for pumping and also a handle for turning the barrel.
Right, so who's going to have a go at this, me or you?
Well, perhaps I'll have a go on the pump, and then I'll let you have a go on the handle. It's
a joint effort.
So a joint effort, that's it, yes.
Joint effort.
Joint effort.
So that's 2 of these South Norfolk organs down. Where is the third one?
So we're off to Fersfield next, just up the road, about a mile, and we'll go and see the dumb organist.
The dumb organist.
The dumb organist.
I've been looking forward to seeing a dumb organist because the last one I went to look at wasn't there. So I look forward to this.
Yes.
Right.
Off we go.
Just a mile or so down the road lies our final organ in this cluster of villages. Located inside the skinny-towered church of St Andrew, will I finally get to see an example of the elusive dumb organist. This looks like familiar territory. We've already seen a Bates organ on my travels, but this, I hope, is the home of the elusive dumb organist.
It is, yes.
Let's reveal.
So big reveal inside. So yes, so you'd think it's just a manual organ, but underneath, we lift the panel out here.
Aha.
And swinging on hinges, we have the barrel mechanism, which folds out like so.
Look at that.
Drops into space. And yes.
See, I'm pretty sure at West Bradenham I would have seen that laying around. So it's nice to finally see one and yes, prove I'm not going bonkers and missed it. So this must be literally one of the last surviving dumb organists in Norfolk now.
Yes, there's not many around. I've got a couple at home, but I'm in Suffolk, so that doesn't count.
Right, so just go through this mechanism. Obviously we've got these little eyelets along the top here.
So that's an adjustment on the top, the back of the key.
Yep.
So the key rocks back and forth, reading the pins and bridges on the barrel. So there's a little bit of adjustment there. On this one, it has a lead weight here to hold the bridge down, to give it some weight. And it has steel keys with a nice brass plate. 10 tunes.
Right, speaking of tunes, shall we have one?
Yes, we have one.
Yeah.
Let's see what we can do.
Wonderful. Well, that's all 3 of these organs within the, well, I suppose it's the Waveney Valley really, isn't it?
Yes, you're the start of the Waveney Valley here.
Conversely, my final organ is right at the other end of the county in Witton, which is up near Bacton on the Norfolk coast.
Well done.
So,
yes.
Yeah, thanks very much for showing me these 3.
That's okay, Chris. Yes, good luck for your ventures.
Yes.
As the day draws to a close, and with 4 more organs ticked off my list, it's time to reflect on the day's findings.
Well, we've had quite a variety of organs today, starting with that 3-barrelled, what is called an improved barrel organ in Mattishall Borough, then a barrel and finger organ in North Lopham with bonus harmonium, the single barrel organ at Bressingham, and finally that dumb organist at Fersfield. Johnny really knows what he's talking about, and if any of you wish to check out his museum, I thoroughly recommend it. So yeah, all in all, a successful day.
It's the 3rd day of my hunt for Norfolk's barrel organs, And for our final organ, we have to head northeast towards the coast, not far from the village of Bacton.
Right, we're on our way to our final organ in Witton. Now, strangely enough, there are two entirely different villages in Norfolk, both called Witton, and they both have their churches dedicated to St Margaret. But don't panic, I've done my research and we're definitely going to the right one.
Just a few miles beyond the market town of North Walsham, the organ resides inside the round-towered church of St Margaret, where its mighty casework stands at the base of the tower.
Now, this organ is rather unique in that it's been heavily modified throughout its life. Originally just a finger organ, the barrel mechanism was added later and resulted in the crank handle being much higher up than usual. It was also fitted with a large hand pump and larger bellows which stick out to the rear, but since its restoration in 1991 by Richard Bower, it's now blown electrically.
The barrel mechanism on this mighty machine consists of a rotating cassette of 3 barrels, but unlike the previous organs, this cassette is made of wood rather than metal.
Now, is it playable? That's a good question. Now, according to the churchwarden, the finger part of the organ is still used regularly for service, but the barrel organ hasn't been used for many years. Now, shall we see if we can get a note out of it?
First, I remove the front panel so I can watch the keyframe and align the barrel. Oh dear, on initial cranking, it appears we have a cipher.
Right, now on initial test, she's not actually playing very well. We've got a few stuck keys, so we have to go through them all to unseize the one or two that are seized.
After a good while of fettling, the stuck keys are found and released in a process that took much longer than this film suggests.
Now, I've just given the organ a good checking over and we've had to free off at least 3 keys which have stuck. The trouble is it's a brass tracker bar and the keys are steel, so they tend to stick. And we're in a damp church not far from the coast, so the air is very salty. So it's a recipe for disaster, but I think we're just about ready to have a tune. Now, if I select tune number 7, I'm sure this sounds reasonable, so let's give it a go. Wonderful.
After a sticky start, it's great that I finally got a tune out of this beast of an organ, and with that, my adventure is complete. Over the course of 3 days, we've discovered all 9 of Norfolk's surviving church barrel organs. But it wouldn't have been quite so simple without some vital information.
Now, this film wouldn't have been possible without the help of a couple of vital sources of information. First of all, this old book by Lindsay Langwell and the late Noel Boston, which was suggested to me as a starting point for this fascinating journey by Johnny Ling. There's also a wonderful website by Maggie Kilby and Marcel Glover, which lists all the surviving barrel organs in English churches, including those we've seen in this film, and you can find out more about them, as well as hear recordings of them. Anyhow, I hope you all enjoyed following me on this mechanical music adventure. Thanks for watching. Now for the obligatory closing paragraph. If you enjoy my quirky, if slightly self-indulgent adventures, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.